From one banned player, known for his shockingly violent outbursts against rival teams, to another famous star who stunned fans with toxic and jaw-dropping behavior. Here are every NHL banned player explained. Bigger the swing, bigger the fallout. Marty McSorley's stick chop on Donald Brashear wasn't a scrum gone wrong. It was a baseball swing to the head with 2.7 seconds left. Brashear crumpled. The video went everywhere, and the league hit McSorley with a season-ending suspension that stretched into the next year. Courtroom lights followed arena lights. He was convicted of assault and never played another NHL shift. Lesson carved in loud caps: intentional headshots aren't tough, they're career poison. Next, repeat whistles become sirens, as Rafi Torres was drafted to score and rattle. And for a while, he did both, until the rattling turned reckless. A 21-game playoff ban for leveling Marian Hossa should have served as a warning sign. It wasn't. 3 years later came a 41-game ban for an illegal shot to the head in preseason, the longest on-ice suspension of its kind. Teams stopped calling, and the league's message got sharper. The head is off limits. Every time, no exceptions. If you thinking hitting on head was violent, have a look at this. An edge turns into a blade. Chris Simon played on the line and then stomped across it, literally. After earlier trouble for a vicious stick swing, he drove a skate blade into an opponent's leg and earned 30 games, one of the longest bans of that era. Stack his suspensions, and you get more than 2/3 of a season lost. Coaches love intimidation. They hate detonations. Simon's name became shorthand for what the Department of Player Safety was built to end. One cross-check, one brand burned. Jesse Boularus wasn't a star, but one deliberate face-high cross-check to Ryan Kessler locked his reputation in place. 25 games later, his NHL runway was basically gone. In a league that tolerates some nastiness, this was the line in ice. Sticks are for pucks, not faces. The clip was replayed repeatedly, serving as a cautionary reminder. When the hit is the headline, the career is the footnote. Next, the payback shattered the heart of the sport. Todd Bertuzzi's mugging of Steve Moore started as "we owe him" energy and ended as a stretcher scene. Moore's career ended with a punch from behind, a drive to the ice, and a pile-up. The suspension was indefinite at first, then formally counted at 20 games plus playoffs. But the legal fallout and the civil case dragged on for years. Rivalry is hockey fuel. Vendetta is a blowtorch that melts the rink. Blowing up at the final horn. Wind the tape back to the 1927 Cup Final, and you meet the original Do Not Cross sign. Wilfred "Billy" Coutu. The buzzer sounded, and he went after the refs first, Jerry Laflamme, and then Billy Bell. And chaos flooded the ice. Frank Calder, the league president, didn't hesitate. Lifetime ban. First one. It remains the only official for-life ban ever recorded for an NHL player, and although it was lifted 2 years later, it was too late to have any significant impact. Attack the stripes, forfeit the sweater. Now, sportsbooks are present everywhere, but the rules remain unchanged. Shane Pinto learned the modern lesson the hard way. Gambling might sponsor the broadcast, but it doesn't sponsor players. 41 games without a paycheck, and the league made sure to note there were no bets on NHL games. The subtext screamed louder than the press release. Proxy, platform, or loophole, whatever you call it, the answer is no. He returned humbled and welcomed, but his name will always carry the asterisk you can't scrub. Now we move to the past. Integrity once, integrity again. Spin the clock to 1948 and see two young Bruins, Don Gallinger and Billy Taylor, collide with the same wall. Talented, trusted, and banned for life for betting on NHL games. Reinstated in 1970, years too late to save anything on the ice. Their story became the template. When money and outcomes share a room, the sport kicks both out, no matter the upside on the roster. Greatness isn't a shield. Grant Fuhr is a Hall of Fame goaltender, a dynasty backbone with reflexes that looked like magic. He also got hit with a 1-year suspension after admitting to past cocaine use, a penalty that stunned the sport and signaled that the rules weren't bending for rings or reputation. He was reinstated after missing most of a season and played on, a redemption arc that didn't erase the punishment, but did outlast it.
Next, we bring you a warrior and wounded, Bob Probert, who could change the outcome of a game with one shift, a punch, his presence, and a surprising goal. He also carried substance issues that spilled into headlines and handcuffs, including a border arrest that triggered the league to throw its harshest language at him and then bring him back after time served and treatment. He kept playing and kept battling, beloved and troubled at once. Proof that a packed arena cannot drown out every fight. Not every lifetime is violence. Brant Myries earned his NHL checks the old-school way. Hit, answer, repeat, and lost them to repeated violations of the league's substance abuse program. The ban ended his role as a player, but his story didn't stop. He came back to the sport as a player assistance voice, trying to be the call he once needed. In a league where inches and seconds decide series, those absences can flip a win column and burn playoff hopes. The money? It vanishes faster than a 2-goal lead in the third. This brings us to when off-ice line is thick and bright. The domestic violence case of Slava Voinov abruptly halted the career of a rising defenseman. The NHL imposed an indefinite suspension, terminated the contract, and never allowed him to return. He played elsewhere, but the message the league cared about stayed here. You don't get to wear the crest if your real-life record endangers people at home. Fans cheer collisions at the boards, not crimes in a police report.
A rare detour back to hockey. Craig McTavish did a year in prison after a fatal drunk driving crash in the mid-1980s, then returned to the NHL and played for years, even lifting the cup again. That timeline is almost unthinkable now, and that's the point. Standards move, consequences harden, and the league today is much less forgiving of actions that live outside the boards. History doesn't forget, and it definitely doesn't forgive. Maurice Richard swung the sport off its axis in 1955, when rage spilled over and he struck a linesman. The league dropped a sledgehammer, suspended for the rest of the season and the entire playoffs. And the city lit up in a riot that echoed for decades. That night drew the border in bold marker. You can play hard. You can even play mean. But you do not touch the officials. You do not turn the rink into a street fight. And if you do, the crest on your chest won't save you.
Some battles you can't win with a wrist shot. Thier and Fleury's game was pure rocket fuel heart, edge, big moment goals, but the off-ice fights kept coming, and the league's substance abuse program is a rulebook that doesn't blink. An indefinite suspension slammed the door and stayed shut long enough to stall everything. A hard stop that said health and compliance come before highlight reels. Years later, he skated a brief preseason comeback on guts and nostalgia, but the message survived the moment. When the program says no, the standings can't argue. Now, zoom out, and the pattern is brutal and simple. Touch the head intentionally, swing a stick like a weapon, stomp with a blade, or aim a cross-check at a face, and the league treats you like you brought a hammer to a face-off. Bet on the wrong thing or in the wrong way, and the NHL acts like the whole table is at risk. Attack an official, and you get the oldest, coldest penalty box. The door slams shut and never opens. The names change, the rules don't. Kutu's lifetime exile set the tone for a century. Gallinger and Taylor stamped "Never Gamble" into the handbook.
McSorley engraved "No assaults" onto highlight packages no one enjoys. Torres turned "repeat offender" into a career-ending label. Boularice proved one moment can define you. Simon showed that history matters when the league adds up your time. Voinov, Probert, Feuer, Myers, Pinto, different paths, same truth. The badge on the front is bigger than the name on the back when the league thinks the sport is on trial.